give me a minute. This is fucking important to me. And this is going to start the programme?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Right, you bastards. You're having it. Whew, Christ. Whoa. Tell me when. My name is Bert Spencer. I don't run and I don't hide. And I do tend to say it as it is, regardless. Many of you will remember my name in relation to the murder of Carl Bridgewater. I did not kill Carl Bridgewater, and I am here to prove to you that I did not.
On the 19th of September 1978, 13-year-old Carl Bridgewater left his home in Wordsley in the West Midlands. Like thousands of other children across the country, he was carrying out a paper round.
He's a reliable lad, you know, you could always rely on him to do things, you know, so we've never had no worries about him doing his paper round.
At 4 p.m, Carl was making one of his final deliveries of the day to Yew Tree Farm. The occupants, an elderly couple, were out. It seems Carl entered the farmhouse and disturbed a burglary. Carl was then shot at point-blank range in the face with a shotgun. The cold-blooded murder sparked one of the biggest police manhunts for a child killer ever seen in the UK.
We have a good witness and a very clear and lucid type of witness, and he had a very good close look at a man sitting behind the wheel of what is probably a blue estate car. There's a distinct possibility that this is one of the men that we are looking for.
The police's suspicions were quickly aroused by a local ambulance officer, Bert Spencer.
They told me that the paper boy, Carl, has been shot. And I just sat there and I thought, oh my God. And my dad was #1 suspect.
But just as it looked like Bert Spencer could have been arrested and charged with the crime, events took an unexpected turn. Detectives picked up a gang of robbers for a burglary at a nearby farm. Known as the Bridgewater Four, they were convicted and imprisoned for Carl's murder. But almost immediately, rumors circulated that the men had been fitted up by a corrupt police force eager to solve the crime. A rumor that was proven to be true when, after 20 years, the men's conviction was quashed and they were free to go. With Carl's killer still at large, the crime remains one of the UK's most notorious unsolved murders.
The one who pulled the trigger, you know, I wish I could get my hands on him, you know what I mean? It's very hard to describe that, you know, your feelings to that person.
Although Bert Spencer was never charged with Carl's murder, he has lived under the constant shadow of suspicion. Now he's decided it's time to speak out.
The murder of 13-year-old Carl Bridgewater, even by the grisly standards of murder itself, at Yew Tree Farm in Staffordshire on the afternoon of September 19th, 1978, was appalling. On his after-school newspaper round, he unknowingly disturbed an antiques burglary at this lonely farmhouse and was brutally shot down.
It was evening meal time, like, you know, and we usually sat down to our evening meal all together, and Carl hadn't returned, and Janet got a bit worried, you see, so I went to look for him. And when I got down by Yew Tree Farm, there was a police car there, you see. So I pulled up and asked him if he'd seen a paper boy at all, you know. And that's when he said that there had been an incident with a boy, you know, and I had to wait.
West Midlands Police reconstructed Carl's last known movements in a bid to jog the public's memory and maybe find an eyewitness or other clues.
I am quite sure that the offenders went to the farmhouse to break in and steal antiques, and as I say, I'm looking for a link in other similar offences.
As police began to gather witness statements, there was one in particular that stood out. Local company director Roger Edwards gave a very specific account of a vehicle and its driver.
I saw a pale blue saloon car, a Vauxhall Viva, turning into Yew Tree Farm. I noticed the driver was a man. He was wearing a dark blue uniform.
The police searched records for all owners of such a vehicle in a 50-mile radius. The only one who wore a uniform at work was ambulance officer Bert Spencer. Once the police realized that Bert was also a part-time antiques dealer, he became a focus of their inquiries. This is an excerpt from the police interview with Bert in his kitchen, just days after the murder of Carl.
I'm a married man, residing with my wife and family at the above address. I'm very interested in antiques, mainly clocks, and occasionally purchase things for my collection. I'm not a dealer. I'm employed by the West Midlands Health Authority. On Tuesday, 19th of September, I was on duty at the hospital from approximately 8:30 until approximately 5:10. I'm the registered owner of a Vauxhall Viva saloon motor car.
In that first police interview, there was some vital information which Bert chose not to tell the police. Most importantly, that he'd been a neighbor of the Bridgewaters for several years and had regularly hunted with a shotgun on land surrounding Yew Tree Farm.
Hello, Professor Wilson. My name's Simon Golding. I'm a journalist and writer and have been working on a book, a biography of sorts, the man called Bert Spencer. I was wondering if you would be interested in possibly interviewing Bert. Anyway, thank you for your time and look forward to hearing from you. Bye now.
Hi Simon, thanks for your message. It's Professor David Wilson here. I absolutely do know who Bert Spencer is.
Criminologist David Wilson is used by police forces across the country to get inside the minds of murderers.
The murder of Carl Bridgewater is one of the most infamous unsolved murders in British criminal history. And if Bert Spencer has agreed to be interviewed, that's too good an opportunity to miss.
Yes, I did speak to Simon and he said someone might ring. I won't tolerate liars. I never have been one, and there's no need of it. Whatever you have heard about the case, you've heard nothing yet.
Well, having read about him for 4 weeks, it's at least good to finally see him. Quite an extraordinary garden, and he's giving me a wave, but that's very kind of him. I think Bert's coming out to meet me as well, chatting away. This garden is quite extraordinary. Well, I've read so much about you. It's a pleasure to meet you.
David?
I am. It's
Hello.
very nice to meet you.
Come on.
How are you?
All right, mate. I'm so pleased to meet you.
Well, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you for
I've
asking
heard a lot
us.
about you. Some of it was good. You're more than welcome to come into our home. Come on.
Oh, thank you. And
Come on.
Hello,
hello,
I'm Christine.
Christine, hello, my name is David Wilson. It's very
Hello.
nice to meet you.
I've heard quite a lot about you.
Oh, well, I hope some of it was good as he
Some of
promised.
it was.
Yeah.
Some of it. Come on in.
And what are all the decorations? This your hobby, your interest?
Well, I love my gardens. I've only got a small garden, but I do love gardening. Just make it look a bit tidier, that's all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Thank you.
Come on in. Just go on in and
Thank you very
relax. You're welcome. Go on in. Just go on in there.
Bert, are these your paintings?
Yes, some of them are in here. Some got burned when my former wife had a funny and threw me out, and she burned a lot in the garden. Lots of things she burned. But these are some of them, yes. Yeah.
She burnt your paintings?
Burnt a lot of stuff.
Why did she do that?
Well, she went a little bit unwell.
Uh-huh.
And she used to do that now and again, and that's in one of those episodes. Yeah, I lost a lot of stuff. I was at work at the time.
Also, you're an ambulance officer.
Oh, that's from a long time ago, yeah. I did 19 years with them.
Uh-huh.
A problem is, anything good you've done in life, like saving lives, delivering babies, that was lovely. Helping deliver babies, that was beautiful. It doesn't count for anything when you get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
It's all demolished.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, really, because it's still in my mind, it's still in my heart. I'm still in my heart an ambulance man, although physically I can't be now.
Yeah. How do you define yourself then?
I'm defined as a pensioner.
Just as a pensioner?
With no value. I'll qualify that later on. I have no value in society. Okay, that's how I define myself. But I'm happy. I'm alive. I wake up every day and say, well, I'm alive, thank you, whoever you are.
Oh, what about a cup of tea and then maybe start formally having a chat through
Want a cup
things?
of tea? That's 30 pence.
I'm sure I've got it. I'm sure I've got the 30p.
Come with me, Daddy.
Thank you.
Now then, throughout this day...
First thing that I know about you is that you were born in December 1939.
In the war years.
In the war year. And I just wanted to know about the family background that you were born into.
I started the war. I rang Hitler and I said, hey, you bastard, you bombed our chip shop.
Can you describe for me, Bert, the relationship you had with your mother and father? Who are you closest to?
Yeah. My dad was the sort of bloke, he was allegedly a hard bastard. Okay? I don't hold that against him.
What did he do?
He used to go around collecting scrap iron on the horse and trap. And in those days, in the market towns, in the market, you'd have a boxing ring. And they'd have some sort of bruiser there, drunk, and you could go in, and if you could face 2 rounds with him, you get a white £5 note. And my dad used to go in to get his beer money.
Your mother and your father separated?
They separated. I don't know how old I was, I really don't. My mother and my sister and my others wouldn't let us talk about him. Because we had a granny sitting in the armchair there, in the Windsor chair. She was in charge of the house in those days. The granny was in charge, and you didn't answer granny back, or you got a clout. Yeah, I don't remember a great deal, except I did love my horse, his horse, and I loved my dad, but I wasn't allowed to go to him. He had to come and steal me when I was playing. Mother worked in a factory, crikey, God knows how many hours. And we had a little tiny house in Smethwick, no lights, no fire, no coal, no money. And I was put into Dr. Bernardo's home.
What was that like?
I was beaten bloody savage in there. We was in a dormitory. Then one day I woke up, my bed was wringing wet. I never ever wet the bed, and I don't today. Went down to whatever breakfast was, and we all had to line up. There were nuns there, nuns. And we all had to have a great big spoonful of cod liver oil. You got to have it. Next. And I was called to some office somewhere, and I was caned. By Christ.
What age were you?
Maybe 9, 10. My hands were on fire, and they marched me to a big kitchen thing with a great big Belfast sink, and my sheets were in there. With hot water, wash those sheets. And I kept saying, it wasn't me, I didn't wear the bed. How dare you lie? How dare you lie?
But how did the sheets get wet?
Well, I know now. There were some bullies in there. I don't tolerate bullies. One of them peed the bed. He was in a gang, and when we went out the room, he took my mattress and put his mattress and sheets. And I got, the fire in my hands, and while that was on, I was screaming, and I had to go in this hot water and wash sheets.
With no formal education, Bert was forced into a series of low-paid jobs. His life looked like it was about to drift into petty crime, and a pattern was beginning to emerge. But freedom from his harsh beginnings came following a chance encounter with an ambulance driver in a local pub, which saw Bert sign up to the service. For the first time, Bert felt a sense of belonging, and relishing the newfound responsibility, he would rise rapidly through the ranks, from ambulance driver to ambulance liaison officer.
What was it that appealed to you about ambulance driving? That's been a recurring theme.
I know, I don't know.
What did you like, the responsibility?
We used to go out in the middle of the night helping babies. We used to stop in the snow and Mum would have a baby. So I took a course to make sure I'd never do anything wrong. The baby would survive my rough handling, as it were. Time and time again, in the middle of the night, in the snow, and the baby would come along and I'd do whatever I could, and eventually we'd get to hospital. And I used to hold these little things, soaking wet, covered in blood, and this little tiny thing, I got life. And I don't know what it is. I'm getting emotional.
I know you are.
Can we just wait a bit?
Yes, yes, of course. You tell me when you feel ready to start.
Come on.
It's fine. We're going through emotional stuff.
I have come here to stop this lie. I had no involvement in the Carl Bridgewater murder. I did not kill Carl. No involvement whatsoever.
Since 1978, the murder of Carl Bridgewater has cast a long shadow across Bert's life. His determination to clear his name once and for all has been the driving force behind allowing David Wilson to interview him now.
Let's talk about the death of Carl Bridgewater.
Yes?
Where were you when you first heard the news that Carl Bridgewater had been murdered?
At home. No, sorry. I was at work the next day.
How did you react?
Bloody hell, you know.
When you were first interviewed
Yes.
by the police, here was this shocking murder of a paperboy. You knew the farm.
Yes.
You knew the family, the Bridgewaters, but you didn't really offer very much to the police in that first interview.
I knew them. They weren't personal friends. I know you. You're not personal friend. So if you got stabbed tomorrow in Boston, I haven't got much to offer. I knew you, yes.
There's a witness who says that he saw a Vauxhall Viva,
right,
which you had at the time.
Right.
And the person driving the Vauxhall Viva was wearing a uniform with 2 pips on it.
Thank you for saying that. If you ever went down to Yew Tree Farm, down the lane, and saw a Vauxhall Viva turning left, you'd see the back of a Vauxhall Viva turning left. You'd see nothing else whatsoever. You've just mentioned a car that could have been mine. It wasn't.
In order to check Bert's statement, police visited his workplace, Corbett Hospital in Wordsley. They were particularly interested in the alibi which his secretary Barbara provided.
I can confirm that Mr. Hubert Spencer was at Corbett Hospital all afternoon.
What Bert didn't tell the police was that he and Barbara were close friends and neighbours.
Someone said he didn't tell the police that Barbara lived 10 doors up the same road.
She was the secretary
She was the secretary at the hospital. They didn't ask. You know, I could have said I've got green socks on tonight. I've just had a poo in the toilet. They didn't ask. And I appreciated what they were there for. They were asking questions. And I answered the questions. I answered every question.
You continue to campaign against people thinking that you had anything to do with that crime?
I've stopped that now. Listen, I'm on camera. I don't give a shit. Think what you will.
Despite the growing body of circumstantial evidence mounting against Bert, a major breakthrough came in the case when the police picked up a gang of burglars who had robbed a nearby farm.
Police picked up 4 men, all known to them as armed robbers. Michael Hickey, Vincent, his cousin, and James Robinson. A 4th, Pat Malloy.
After several days of interrogation, one of the men, Patrick Malloy, admitted to being at Yew Tree Farm. He said he was upstairs when he heard a gunshot and that his accomplice, 16-year-old Michael Hickey, had accidentally killed Carl with a shotgun. Malloy's apparent confession led to the rest of the gang turning on each other. This led to the successful prosecution of the so-called Bridgewater Four, who were found guilty and jailed for between 12 and 25 years for the crime. But there was one person who was convinced that they were innocent.
Then, as the teenager Michael Hickey was led away, his mother, Anne, rushed to the front of the gallery and cried down to him tearfully, "I'll fight, Michael, I'll fight."
Michael Hickey's mother, Anne Whelan, began a 20-year-long campaign to free the men and discover who Carl's real killer could be. And just 4 weeks after the Bridgewater Four were jailed, there was an extraordinary development which immediately raised new questions about who killed Carl.
Here at Holloway House Farm, a half-mile from Yew Tree. Again, another brutal shotgun killing. This time the victim was a 70-year-old farmer called Hubert Wilkes. In the middle of a late-night social gathering, Wilkes' close friend, Hubert Spencer, left the room, returned with a shotgun and killed him.
The newsboy and the farmer were killed in neighboring farmhouses, and the coincidences didn't end there. Just like Carl, Hubert Wilkes was killed with a shotgun. Just like Carl, he was shot in the head at close range. Just like Carl, he was murdered whilst seated. One man knew both properties and both victims, and that man was Bert Spencer. Bert has no explanation for why he murdered Wilkes, but he does have some memories of the night he killed his best friend and father figure.
This little old man, I love him because he was like a father.
On December 13th, 1979, Hubert Wilkes hosted some drinks at Holloway House Farm for Bert's 40th birthday. Present were Farmer Wilkes, his daughter Jean, Bert, and his wife Janet.
He got to feel that I was better than his son. And eventually he started bringing me into the family. And he'd leave Anthony and Philip out and cook me a Sunday lunch. So he was like a father figure, and that's where it hurts. Now, my first wife used to do his bookkeeping. She had said to me, she will deny this, and I don't care. She had said to me, don't leave me alone with him. Previously, he had said to me, Janet's been so loud. I put my hand on her thigh and she wants me, she don't fucking want you. He gave me all this. Oh, for about 2 years I took it. He's just an old man. But he was like a father. I hadn't got my own dad. And then we went there on the night. He came out all bloody effing and blinding, and the dog had to be grabbed and put away. Then he went and took Janet into another room to do the books. I sat in the lounge with Jean, just general chat. And Jean said, it is your birthday, I bought you a present. A little bit of pipe tobacco, duty-free. Thank you, Jane. Look, I didn't kiss her, I didn't love her, I didn't want her. She was sisterly-like. Just a lovely girl. She was air stewardess, extremely proud. When she was dressed up, very proud. Thank you, love, that's nice. Pipe tobacco. I smoked a pipe. And previously, Hubert Wilkes used to brag. The farmers used to get together and he'd mix special cocktails to get the women pissed, and they'd have a swap around. Thought nothing of it. But I must have thought something of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had a lot of whiskey before I went there, because it was my birthday. I'd had a lot of whiskey. I used to drink whiskey, I don't know, because in case it makes me nasty. Poured the drinks. Then he stood up, and he says, in a great big loud voice, I was nearly pissed now, Janet, I've made you a special cocktail. And I cannot remember what happened next, except I think I fell down in a hallway. And there was flash, bang, wallop. I know I fell down. I do know. I went out. Apparently, while I was out there, I took his gun from the door jamb, went to my car, got a hacksaw, and cut the barrel off. I went in, and Janet and Jean said he walked in the room and rolled round the room, upright. And then I went and shot him.
Bert's wife Janet returned home in shock and covered in blood. She was met by her terrified teenage daughter. Bert's daughter is able to recall what her mother said the night her father murdered Hubert Wilkes. She is asked not to be filmed.
My mother said she got up from the settee and they had a fight. As she was trying to grab the gun off him, he used the butt of the gun and just constantly hit her on the top of her head. And she ran off and she ran into the kitchen. And my dad was chasing her through the house and she hid under the table.
I picked another gun up from another door jamb, put it in my car. I drove up the lane and saw an ambulance. Oh, my mates. And I stopped. It's all insane. And a driver came up and he said, Bert, don't go down the lane, there's a gunman on the loose. I said, Barry, I think it's me.
The death of Hubert Wilkes saw Bert in the dock for his murder.
Okay, I deserve to be put away, but it wasn't intent. I did what I did. I'm so bloody sorry I did it. But I didn't go there with a gun thinking I'll kill the bastard. It's just something that, bang, it happened. Because I was pissed.
Throughout his trial, Bert Spencer remained silent. He never took the stand, and no explanation was ever given for why he had killed the farmer. But watching the proceedings closely was a woman with a vested interest in the case.
I remember a lady looking at me every day and smiling. And it was Anne Whelan. She latched on to the possibility that my father could have been responsible, and not her son, for killing the child.
Bert was sentenced to life in prison. The striking similarities between the murder of Carl and Hubert Wilkes soon became public knowledge. This fueled the determination of the Bridgewater 4 campaign group and their lawyers.
There are a number of coincidences which, if there hadn't been that second murder at the farm up the road, one may never have known about.
One of the condemned men started the longest rooftop protest in prison history.
Michael Hickey demonstrated on the roof of Leicestershire's top security Gartree prison, stating his case through a makeshift loudhailer.
Shouting his innocence from the rooftops, Hickey also yelled the name of the man he believed was guilty of Carl's murder, Bert Spencer. By now, Whelan had convinced the investigative journalist Paul Foote to join her cause. With his help, Bert's name was never out of the headlines, often openly being accused as Carl's real killer.
These alleged, what did I call them, celebrities? The campaign group is full of celebrities, all trying to get me hung for the crime. They didn't know what they were talking about, but some of those groups came to Wormwood Scrubs 11:30 at one night, and outside the big wall with the razor on it, chanting up at the, you could see the windows, chanting to the Kill Bert Spencer, kill Bert Spencer, Carl Bridgewater, blah, blah, inciting the inmates to kill me. And you, members of that campaign group, judge me. I won't name you here. I won't name and shame you here. I may do one day. I may.
Spencer.
Bert claims that the barrage of accusations meant his own life was in constant danger whilst in prison, and he was left with no option but to turn to violence or die at the hands of other inmates.
You were a convicted murderer, bodybuilder. Were you the top of the hierarchy? Were you the daddy of the wing?
Not purposely. No, I used to protect people. There's bullies. There's actually rapists in male prisons. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You must know that. They're barbaric bastards. We had a young Filipino kid that was raped, and I dealt with her. 3 or 4 of them, and got hold of him, and I went to town.
What did you do?
I just went in like a bloody bulldozer. I dealt with it. I stopped it. But when somebody grabs hold of a young kid and they got long hair and bloody pigtails and shouting, "Raz clad, bumba clad," I went in, mate. I just went, I don't know, I didn't even think about it. I just went in, and I'm not proud of what I had to do in my sentence on occasions. I did it. I did it, and I stopped it. And then I got a reputation. I ran the bloody prison. I just was not afraid of anyone.
Whilst Bert says he ruled the other inmates with an iron fist, some things were beyond his control.
When I was in Wilmot Scrubs, my dad died. And they took me out all the way to Birmingham, Sally Oak, to the funeral. Handcuffed all the way. You know about this because she was a governor. When I got there, the 3 screws that was escorting me were total strangers. They didn't know me. And they said, "Right, Bert, we don't know you. Don't do anything stupid." I said, "What are you talking about? I ain't going to do anything stupid." He said, "Well, we're going to uncuff you." I said, "Do it." Throughout the service, the priest kept staring at me. I'm not paranoid, and I didn't mind that. And the priest came to me afterwards. He said, "When I went and saw the coffin, I thought I was looking at you."
Whilst in prison, Bert claims that he was continually silenced and unable to defend himself against accusations that he murdered Carl. This feeling of being gagged at the time continues to rile him.
I've waited 30 years for this. I've been suppressed, I've been gagged, I've been trod on, kicked while I was down. Okay, I'm standing up now. Come and have a kick. I'm different now.
What will it be like for you, though, Bert, if people who watch the programme listen to what you're arguing, weigh it all up, and still say, yeah, he killed Carl Bridgewater?
Okay, can you come forward with the slightest fragment of evidence? Because we deal with evidence in courts. We don't deal with newspapers. We deal with evidence. Can you prove it? But I am standing up now. You can't trample over me. Be careful what you say against me. I might retaliate in the courts.
I want to come back and reflect, after I've reflected on this first meeting, and talk to you about other things that strike me about the conversation we've had today. Is that okay?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Bert, for agreeing to see me, and I'll see you again soon, I hope.
More than welcome, anytime.
Thank you. And let's reflect on some of the things that we discussed. Bits that, you know, we need to think about again, other bits that we need to cover. And I look forward to seeing you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Safe journey.
Thank you.
Come on, here.
Take care. Bye, Christine.
Safe journey.
Bye-bye.
Go in, it's cold. I'm developing a picture of Bert. I don't want to easily jump to labels, but there was some huge narcissism, I'm going to speak to the nation. I'm going to have my justification for my behavior. We need to check the materials in relation to his movements on the day that Carl Bridgewater died. I therefore would quite like to speak to Barbara. He was going to mention her as quickly as possible and move on. And yet, this was a woman who basically has stood up his alibi about being in Corbett Hospital on the day Carl Bridgewater died for decades. So it's her, really, I would be quite keen to talk to, given that Bert is so extrovert about other people in the story. Barbara, no matter how central, mentioned and then ignored very quickly. I'd quite like to speak to her. Bert's just coming behind us with another dog. So, do you know whose dog it is, Bert?
We'll go and find out up there. All right, love. Come on, babe. In there, love. In there.
That's what's going through his mind at the minute. He wants to know exactly what I think. He wants to know if he passed the test. There he goes. The hero in his own mind. Animal lover, child lover, killer.
As a convicted murderer, Bert served the full term of 14 years for killing Hubert Wilkes. He received no parole because he would never satisfactorily explain why he had murdered the farmer. On his release, Bert drifted away into obscurity, but any hopes he had of a quiet life were dashed when the Bridgewater Four's conviction was quashed and they were made free men. And it was the circumstantial evidence against Bert Spencer which featured prominently in the defense counsel's arguments during the court appeals.
Mr. Bennett Heitner, QC, spoke about a man seen by police after the murder called Herbert Spencer. Mr. Spencer had also failed to disclose that he knew Carl Bridgewater, that he bought and sold antiques, and that he had permission to shoot birds at Yew Tree Farm.
With Carl's killer still walking free, Bert Spencer once again found himself being asked difficult questions about the newspaper boy's death.
Well, joining me now are Bert Spencer, who's been accused of killing Carl Bridgewater, his wife Christina, and Anne Whelan, Michael Hickey's mother. Do you now feel the need to get involved in the search to find that man?
I won't rest, let's put it like this, until the perpetrator of that child, the killing of that child, is behind bars. I mean, he has been accused of this by prisoners 7 times at least.
But now, after reading that this morning, a lot of people are going to draw the conclusion that you killed Carl Bridgewater.
People are, but nothing keeps the spotlight off me while there's people like Anne Whelan pointing her finger at me. I do not fear any police investigation. I would welcome one.
It wasn't me that accused you in the very first place. I want to finish, please.
You will.
Is this not a fact you did have guns? Is this not a fact you were an antique dealer? Is this not a fact you lived next door to the child and you refused to tell the police that? Is this not a fact that your car was seen turning into Yew Tree Farm, that the police went out in a 50-mile radius to look for Vauxhall Vivas? They came up with a few Vauxhall Vivas. Is this a fact that you were the only man in uniform that was found and it happened to be the man?
Answers.
Is this a fact when they went to your house you could have said, go and see my colleague, Mrs. She will give you an alibi. Is
I
this
did
not
so.
a fact? Your papers have gone missing.
Don't lie
That would
on
have
this programme.
She went to the hospital. Mr.
I did
Spencer,
so.
I have this in. I don't need
I don't think
papers.
there's anything in your head worth
Well, I'm sorry. This
Now,
has to be sorted out
This
properly.
is not a court.
All right,
Neither is it trial by media.
All right.
But
Is it
let
not
me
a
ask
fact?
you one question. For the record,
Right, ask it.
did you shoot Carl Bridgewater?
I did not. And that is on the record. And no attempts by these people, no amount of attempts is going to remove it from the record. Talking about facts, that, lady, is fact.
During the course of the campaign to free the Bridgewater Four, Anne Whelan accumulated thousands of legal documents. She believes they may hold clues to help catch Carl Bridgewater's killer. David Wilson has been given unrestricted access to the materials.
And are all these boxes related to the case?
Yes, cabinets and all those boxes and the boxes all behind and everything. It's crystal clear in some of these boxes that you see that the evidence is there to convict the person that is responsible for the horrific murder. You know, psychopath, I think he is. So that's what I'm hoping anyway.
And you've been incredibly vocal about saying that Bert Spencer was responsible for Carl's murder. Why do you think he's never sued you?
Well, because he did it. Because he's guilty. If he sued me, he takes me into a court of law, doesn't he?
The quashing of those convictions inevitably put the spotlight back onto Bert Spencer. You met him a few times. How did those encounters go?
I find him personally, again, a personal feeling, this is quite a chilling man.
How does Bert Spencer react to you on a personal level?
Oh, most of the time, wishes me dead. That's the best thing that could happen to me. So, and I'll tell you why, I think, because he knows that I'm right. I've got a feeling he wants to be challenged. He knows he's guilty. I think he's playing a game with everybody, with everyone.
Why is he bringing it all back up now, after all these years?
I think he wants to be found out. He wants to be found out.
Do you think he's trying to confess?
He wants to confess, but he wants somebody to really, like he's playing a tough game with people. He wants that tough game played back with him. He wants it dragged out of him because he's not normal in the head. He's not a normal person. I know, I just know. I'm not just pointing a finger because of the sake of it. But in my eyes, Bert Spencer killed Carl Bridgewater.
I don't want to speak to Anne Whelan. I have no interest whatsoever in my life. She's not in part of my life. She's a nothing. I actually hate the bitch. I worship the ground she's got coming to her. Horrible bitch. Her boy did it. I am absolutely convinced.
Coming up next time, Professor Wilson learns more about Bert's association with the place where Carl was killed.
The police officer says, "Have you visited Yew Tree Farm?" Spencer replied, "Yes, I have. You found out."
David and Bert embark on a remarkable road trip, returning to the scene of the crime.
What do you think Carl might say back to you?
I don't know. I really don't. What do you think he might say?
He might say you killed him.
And relations between the two men reach breaking point.
Is he trying to tie me into Carl Bridgewater? And it feels as though he is. I wasn't there, I wasn't guilty, and now he's raising it all up again. That criminalises me. I could be bloody arrested.
On the 19th of September 1978, 13-year-old Carl Bridgewater left his home in Wordsley in the West Midlands. Like thousands of other children across the country, he was carrying out a paper round. At 4 p.m, Carl was making one of his final deliveries of the day to Yew Tree Farm. The occupants, an elderly couple, were out. It seems Carl entered the farmhouse and disturbed a burglary. Carl was then shot at point-blank range in the face with a shotgun. The cold-blooded murder sparked one of the biggest police manhunts for a child killer ever seen in the UK.
We have a good witness and a very clear and lucid type of witness.
The police theory was that if Carl had recognized whoever was stealing antiques from Yew Tree Farm, then they had murdered him so he couldn't reveal their identity. Eyewitness statements reported a man in uniform driving a blue Vauxhall Viva into Yew Tree Farm on the day that Carl was killed. The only man in a 50-mile radius who filled that description was local ambulance officer Bert Spencer. Bert also owned a shotgun and went shooting on land surrounding Yew Tree Farm. Furthermore, he was a part-time antiques dealer. When police found out that he'd been a neighbor of Carl's, he became the main focus of their investigation.
They told me that the paper boy, Carl, has been shot. And I just sat there and I thought, oh my God. And my dad was #1 suspect.
But just as it looked like Bert Spencer could have been arrested and charged with the crime, events took an unexpected turn. Detectives picked up a gang of robbers for a burglary at a nearby farm, known as the Bridgewater 4. They were convicted and imprisoned for Carl's murder. But almost immediately, rumors circulated that the men had been fitted up by a corrupt police force eager to solve the crime. A rumor that was proven to be true when, after 20 years, the men's conviction was quashed and they were free to go. With Carl's killer still at large, the crime remains one of the UK's most notorious unsolved murders.
The one who pulled the trigger, you know, I wish I could get my hands on him, you know what I mean? It's very hard to describe that, you know, your feelings to that person.
Although Bert Spencer was never charged with Carl's murder, he has lived under the constant shadow of suspicion. Now, he's decided it's time to speak out. Last time on Interview with the Murderer, Criminologist Professor David Wilson riles Bert as he questions him about whether he had any role in the murder of Carl Bridgewater.
Listen, I'm on camera. I don't give a shit. Think what you will.
Professor Wilson becomes convinced that Bert's alibi demands closer scrutiny.
This was a woman who basically has stood up his alibi about being in Corbett Hospital on the day Carl Bridgewater died for decades.
And could Bert be playing a game of psychological chess with the professor?
He knows he's guilty. I think he's playing a game with everybody.
That should go on a compost with many people. Just strip the leaves off and you plant it and you will produce a life, a living thing. I don't want to lose it. I've cut it now. I'll just poke it in there, look. I appreciate life, living things, human beings and life itself. Okay, I took a life. Okay, I'm fully aware of the awfulness of that. Okay?
On December the 13th, 1979, just 4 weeks after the Bridgewater 4 had been jailed, another murder took place at a farmhouse just 500 yards from where Carl was murdered. The victim was local farmer Hubert Wilkes, but this time the killer was caught at the scene of the crime. His name? Bert Spencer. The murder of Hubert Wilkes was almost a carbon copy of the murder of Carl. Both victims were shot in the side of the head while seated, at point-blank range with a shotgun. But Bert believes he was made a scapegoat for Carl's murder by the campaign group determined to see the Bridgewater 4 released, and he has strong views on forgiving and forgetting.
We go to church. I go to church. That's hard to believe for some of you. I go to church and I say, with you, the Lord's Prayer. Okay? Oh, the wind blowed that off, look. Oh. Now I have to question the rest of the world. Why do you say it? Why are you two-faced liars when you talk to your God concept? Why on earth in the Lord's Prayer do you say, Dear Lord, our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and then further down the prayer, forgive us our trespasses, good, and forgive us as we forgive those who trespass against us. What a load of liars we are as a nation. We will not forgive those who trespass against us. We want revenge. No one gets forgiven. Why have we got courts? Prosecutions. We don't forgive. But we say to our God, we will forgive those who trespass against us. All of those people who joined a campaign group to persecute me and mentally torture me for all those years, why didn't you forgive me? I've never done anything against you. I think that answers the question. You're liars, you're two-faced, as you talk to your God, and he will do something about it one day.
During the course of the campaign to free the Bridgewater 4, Anne Whelan, the mother of one of those wrongly accused, accumulated thousands of legal documents. She believes they may help catch Carl Bridgewater's killer and has handed them over to criminologist Professor David Wilson.
Now, all these boxes related to the case?
Yes.
Professor Wilson has been invited to speak to Bert, who is determined to put to rest rumours he was involved in Carl's murder. With an archive of over 10,000 documents in his possession, David Wilson has assembled a team of criminology researchers to begin the critical and painstaking task of sifting through the documents in order to identify anything of importance that could lead him closer to understanding what happened to Carl the day he was killed.
This is old-fashioned research. In these boxes are documents collected over the course of 20 years by Anne Whelan, who is the mother of Michael Hickey, one of the Bridgewater 4. The documents are trial transcripts, police witness statements, newspaper cuttings, prison correspondence. Frankly, they're a treasure trove of information. And I believe that in these boxes is the identity of the killer of Carl Bridgewater.
Searching the papers, the researchers soon uncover documents that Professor Wilson believes may be of real importance.
That's fine. This is the very first statement that Spencer's going to make to the police in relation to the murder of Carl Bridgewater. And this is the alibi. Here's his alibi. 8:30 until 5:10. He's claiming he was at the hospital all day. That's his alibi. This alibi is what protects Bert Spencer.
Bert Spencer has always relied on one piece of evidence when there's any suggestion that he may have been involved in the killing of Carl Bridgewater. The fact his secretary, Barbara, provided him with a cast-iron alibi. Bert worked as an ambulance officer at Corbett Hospital, and his secretary, Barbara, gave a statement saying that he had been at work all day.
David, I've just got something here. Earlier on, I saw Barbara said that Bert wouldn't ever leave the hospital, but then she's mentioned here that he might leave for lunch around 1 p.m, but either earlier or later.
Melinda, this is very important. Look, except for perhaps leaving for lunch. Sometimes he had lunch a little bit earlier or a bit later, and he may have done on that day. He was upset and worried at the time by the attention given to him by the police. This is really important, Melindy. Well done.
The ongoing search of the documents turns up another compelling piece of information. All ambulance officers who worked at Corbett Hospital kept timesheets in a log, filed away at the end of each month. They provided an exact whereabouts of employees and the jobs they were seconded to. These logs could have supported Bert's alibi had they not mysteriously disappeared.
A police officer's gone and looked at the ambulance's daily record sheets, and unfortunately, on the date of Carl's murder, the record sheets are missing.
Bert, as a senior ambulance officer, was one of the few people at Corbett Hospital who would have had access to these records. He maintains that corrupt police officers could have removed the records and logbooks in a bid to make him a scapegoat for Carl Bridgewater's murder. As the search through the documents continues, unearthed is the complete police transcript of the second interview conducted with Bert at Corbett Hospital. Taking place almost a week after the first interview, Bert's opening line to detectives suggests he was expecting to see them again.
Go back to the very start of it.
At the very start.
Look what he says here. The police officer says, I made known to him the reason for my visit and said, have you visited Yew Tree Farm? Spencer replied, yes, I have. You found out.
When asked if he'd ever been to Yew Tree Farm in uniform, Bert replied, I think so. In his first statement, Bert Spencer didn't tell police that he had at one point lived only a few doors away from Carl Bridgewater. In his second interview, the police pushed Bert on how well they knew each other.
That's a very odd statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him. Is he meaning the press photographs? Or is he meaning actually in Yew Tree Farm that day? Does Carl Bridgewater have to die for the simple instrumental reason that Bert didn't recognize him, but Carl recognized Bert?
Professor Wilson wonders, could this have been the true motive for Carl's murder?
Well, I wondered if we were going to find these in the boxes at some stage. These are actually the crime scene photographs themselves of Carl after he'd been murdered. So they are truly appalling. So I think we'll just stop. We shouldn't be filming this.
Having been through Anne Whelan's files, Professor Wilson returns to speak to Bert once more, determined to ask him about the new information he has uncovered.
I see you've got your waistcoat on again. That's good.
Are you jealous? You haven't got one.
Very jealous.
That's a different waistcoat. I've got about a dozen. I love them.
Do you think your waistcoat and the garden tell the same story about the man who's Bert Spencer? You like to stand out from the crowd, don't you?
No. I'm old-fashioned. That's what a waistcoat is. I'm Edwardian.
Yeah.
Maybe Victorian. No, I'm Edwardian. And the garden's just, that's my hobby. No, I don't stand out.
You don't think this stands out from the other gardens in the village?
Yes, it does. That wasn't the idea when I built it. But this is a cycling route.
Uh-huh.
And you get crowds of cyclists, because it's all flat. And we get people from Denmark. They stopped there about 3 days ago, and one of them said, he has a whole museum.
That's true.
But it wasn't designed for that. It's just, I like it. It's lovely. Christine likes it. That's what I built it for. I like it. I like gardening.
Where can we go for a walk?
Up the park.
Come on, then, you lead the way. I kept coming back to two things. Why now? Why do you want to talk about this now?
I wanted to talk about it 30 years ago. but was suppressed. I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah. Who wouldn't allow you to talk
The
about
prison
this?
in Winson Green, I had a bundle of papers that were going to be towards my manuscript. Things I'd replied, I'd noted, and they snatched them out of my hand. You're not allowed to write or say about prison or anybody else's crime or your own crime. That answers your question. I wasn't allowed to. I am today. I'm free.
Why do you think they wanted to cover up?
I think they weren't really sure. Was Bert involved, wasn't he? That's the feeling I got. I thought it was me against the world. I really did, even the coppers. I thought it was me against the world, and that's how I lived for a few years. I'm at war against the world.
Do you think you're a bit paranoid?
No,
But
I think
being
I'm
at
not.
war, me against the world, is paranoia.
Yeah, but look at every newspaper. Look, when I did get a chance to see a television, I'm on it. It's people like saying the records are missing. So what? I'm in prison. Someone's took them.
The records, these are the records that would have shown your movements on the day that Carl Bridgewater was murdered. And those records, by going missing, were unable to corroborate what it was that you said about where you were, because your argument is that you were at Corbett Hospital all day.
But they weren't necessary. A lot was made of them.
What was in the records book might have been something that could exonerate you completely.
Yes, yes.
Something in the book might have been something that would incriminate you completely. So the records going missing is quite important in terms of the story we've been discussing.
It is. But if there was something in that book that could incriminate me, why didn't they give it to the news media? We got him.
Because it was you that took it. That's
Oh,
their
come on.
argument. Their argument is it was you that took the book.
You couldn't get in. You can't get in.
But you knew that headquarters really well, didn't you?
I knew it really well.
You definitely were at Corbett Hospital all day.
All day.
All day, didn't
Every minute of that day, and it was proven, so...
Well, it hasn't been proven, because the thing that could prove that, Bert, were the records, and the records went missing.
Bert had a cast-iron alibi at the time in his secretary Barbara. She was able to testify that Bert had been at Corbett Hospital all day on the day Carl was killed. This would see the heat of the police investigation taken off Bert.
Bert, were you always faithful to your wives?
No.
You played around?
I played around with someone I thought I'd fell in love with.
Is that woman still alive?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've made no attempt to rekindle, as it were. I don't know.
What period of time was that? When were you having an affair?
Just before I committed my offence.
So in the late
Long
70s?
time, I was getting on a bit.
So that was when you were still married to your first wife, Janet?
Yes. Yes.
But would you be even more honest with me and tell me who you were having an affair with?
No. Because, no, I won't.
Is this woman still alive?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
I really don't know. No.
Was it a work colleague?
No. She was lovely. We melted and we parted. And she was so lovely, I wouldn't upset her life, you know. It was lovely. It was lovely, it really was.
I'm worried that you're getting cold.
I am cold, yes.
So let's go back to the house.
I am cold, yeah.
Back in the house, David Wilson gets the chance to speak to Bert's current partner, Christine.
He said, I've got something I've got to tell you. He said, I've been in prison for murder. First off, I didn't know really which way to think, because I'd never come across somebody like this before, and being the first time, I was a bit apprehensive. I didn't know if Bert was still the same person or if his lifestyle had changed. Whether he was still violent or if he was still in the same mood, sort of thing. When Bert explained things to me, what he had done, and then when the police contacted him, it was, they was putting 2 and 2 together and making 5, but they couldn't deduct anything from it because things were going and dropping into place, which I'd say not as an ordinary, as a policeman or a detective, but I would have said, blue car, Bert's got a blue car. Person in uniform, Bert wears the uniform. Knows the family, Bert knows the family. He knew where they lived. Well, 3 out of 3 makes a story.
Who is Bert Spencer?
Bert Spencer is, I am my daddy's boy. He was a nasty, hard bastard.
Are you a nasty,
That's
hard...
me.
Are you a nasty, hard bastard?
No, but I'm his boy, and I.
So
I'm
the
his boy.
apple never falls too far from the tree? Is that what you're arguing?
Possibly, I don't know. If you jump on my back, you'll get hurt. Okay? If you don't jump on my back, I'll love you and cuddle you and treat you out. Don't attack me, because I am my daddy's boy. And it'll come out. It's not anger, you know, is it?
No, it feels like a threat.
Yeah, shut up.
It does. It does. It feels like a threat. But
No,
I have to
you asked me a question. I'm trying to answer it.
Oh, yeah.
Who am I?
You answered it very clearly.
I did.
You did.
I meant it.
I understood what you were
It's
arguing.
not threatening you. It's not threatening. It's not threatening anyone. If anyone jumps on my back with aggression in mind, I can deal with it like my dad did. I am my daddy's boy.
But if we cross you, Bert, if those people cross that
You can cross. I'll argue with you. I won't hurt you. I'll argue. I'll question. I'll discuss. I won't hurt you. You've done it. You've crossed that barrier. I won't hurt you. I'll discuss with you. I'll question. I'll question you. I'll question anybody.
What does it mean to be labelled as a murderer?
Just stop a minute.
If you could switch off time and go back in time to 1978. Yeah, 1978. What would you have changed in your life at that point?
I'd have been away on holiday, away from the West Midlands.
There are bad memories in 78?
Stop. Bloody hell.
If you want to stop, you can stop.
Just stop.
Yeah. It was a truly remarkable day. I mean, the kinds of things he's revealing in the course of the interview are some of the things he's never publicly stated before. I mean, he's told me that at the time that he murdered Hubert Wilkes, he was having an affair. And therefore, this whole wife-swapping alibi becomes more tenuous. You know, why do you care so much about the woman that you've actually betrayed by having an affair? And you say she was having an affair at that time as well. But the most remarkable thing of all is the sense that he's putting himself forward again. He's inserting himself into a drama about his life and his role in the murder of Carl Bridgewater. I mean, you know, fair credit to him. I keep trying to explain to him that people will look at this, and he calls it trial by media. Well, actually, it's him that's called. It's him that set himself up as a court. He's put himself in the dock.
As a former prison governor, David Wilson was trained to perform a detailed checklist on prisoners he suspected of showing signs of psychopathy. This is known as a P-scan.
What I'll do tonight is I'm going to do a P-scan on him, which is simply looking to see
if based on the things that he's written, the performances in terms of TV, my own knowledge now of him through some 20 hours of interview, am I dealing with somebody who's psychopathic?
Following the last encounter, Bert calls the filmmakers to tell them he is unhappy with the line of questioning.
I haven't slept for 2 nights thinking about it. He told me to delve on this and delve on that. I'm not happy with him. He's all to do with multiple psychotic killers. Is he trying to make me one? Is he trying to tie me into Carl Bridgewater? And it feels as though he is. I wasn't there. I wasn't guilty. And now he's raising it all up again. That criminalises me. I could be bloody arrested. I'm a lifer. He's got me on trial by media. I want to ask him, face to face, what do you hope to achieve from this broadcast?
Journalist and writer Simon Golding has been working on an account of Bert's life for the past 2 years. Simon introduced David Wilson to Bert. As tensions mount following the last interview, Bert has asked Simon to visit him to discuss the tone of David Wilson's questioning.
Professor David Wilson will conduct his inquiry as he feels fit, and he wants to be as open as possible. And the only way I think Bert's going to really get something out of this, and we're going to move forward, is if Bert's honest, open and truthful. Bert, you seem quite concerned about Professor David Wilson and the interview and how it's actually going at the moment. And I obviously feel that you're not very happy about it and the direction it's going in. Is that correct?
He's a criminologist and he's good at his job. Nice enough bloke, but he seems to be, his role seems to be incriminating people, whoever he's talking about. And when he was talking to me, I felt that there was some of that coming out in him, as though he was trying to incriminate me without even knowing it. I've had enough of that. I've had it for years and years. I don't want any more.
Is it the questioning, or is it the... Do you feel he's accusing you, or what seems to be the root problem?
One of the things he brought up, okay, was I having an affair? I should have said, well, what's it got to do with you? I said yes. Yes, I had an affair, but it wasn't really an affair, it was a fling. I won't give you the person's name, but that seemed to be a stumbling block. Because if it happened to be my secretary at work, people would say, she's covered up for him. It was not my secretary at work. The police know that. They interviewed her, they put her through a riddle, microscopically, in case it was her. No, it wasn't. We were just friends and workmates.
I think you should use this opportunity for you to actually fire back, like you are talking to me now, is to do that with Professor Wilson.
Right.
And be open and when actually make those points, because you're not on trial here. You're just giving your chance, you know, to mention something.
Yeah, okay, but that's what I'd like. I'd like something else to sort of cement in people's minds that I am telling the truth. At the moment, it's just me saying so. Okay, I happen to be a Quaker. I do tell the truth. And one point the public might like to consider is, if ever I have to go to court as a witness for anything, I don't have to take the oath. I'm a Quaker. I am expected to tell the truth. Now this phenomena that we're discussing is a major part of my life. It's not just something silly or minor, it's a major part of my life, very important to me. I have to tell the truth. And I'd like something to corroborate that.
The last encounter between the two men ended with Bert breaking down. However, Bert has invited David Wilson to meet him again, but this time in even more extraordinary circumstances.
Hi, Bert.
Hello again, David.
Yeah, how are you? Thanks for coming.
The two men are in Staffordshire. It is the first time Bert has returned to the area since he murdered Hubert Wilkes.
We've got a lot to do.
Yes.
Let's get on then.
The first place the two men visit is the cul-de-sac where Bert used to live, a few doors away from Carl Bridgewater. Bert lived as a neighbour of the Bridgewaters for almost 8 years. Carl literally grew up on the street where Bert lived.
Somewhere here, Carl lived. One of these houses. And we lived in that one there.
Which one?
That one there, look.
And Carl lived?
Somewhere there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors away is Carl Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I kind of imagined, see, this is why I'm so interested to be here. I kind of imagined it was going to be really big.
No, this was it.
It's very intimate.
This was a kids' playground.
All the kids play with each other?
Yeah, here. And my daughter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, here.
And here. Carl?
I don't know, because I didn't play with them. I don't know who they were.
Yeah.
There was groups of kiddies from all around this area playing here.
But you have no memory of Carl then?
No. When I seen Carl's picture in the paper, I thought, yeah, they all look like that. They all. I hope no one's offended the way I talk. I'm not offending anyone. It was just a kid playing with other kids. Meant nothing to me. That's said in the nicest possible way. I didn't know him. I didn't play with him.
And you would move from here when Carl was 10, and then he was 13 when he was murdered.
Yes, I was.
So it's 3 years in between you living here
and Kingsley Road.
And Kingsley Road.
Yeah. It's lovely to come back. It's lovely to come back. You're flabbergasted.
I'm flabbergasted.
Why?
Well, I kind of thought this would be really emotional.
No, it isn't. It's lovely to come back and see how nice this place has been made.
The next place they visit is Yew Tree Farm, where Carl Bridgewater was murdered in 1978. Whilst he has always denied involvement in Carl's murder, he has never denied that he had been inside the farmhouse on at least 3 occasions, admired the antique furnishings, and had also frequently accessed the land for farming and shooting.
Oh gosh, this is it. Oh my gosh.
Have a look at this. Crikey. I was up and down here hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times. You knew the farm well?
Oh, crikey, yes.
And had you been inside the farmhouse?
Yes, I had.
How many times?
About 2, 3. I'd been in and spoke to them and sat down with them, cup of tea with them. Little old couple, very nice.
And the couple that lived here, that were quite elderly, very rarely
They
left.
didn't go out. I knew people came, I knew the doctor came, I knew someone delivered papers, but not who.
Why did they go out that day?
I don't know, apparently. I don't really know. I think it was some sort of treat for them.
Uh-huh.
I don't really know that.
Uh-huh.
Because they didn't go out.
Yeah. What does it feel like to be standing outside the place that's, you know, your name is attached to the story of the farm that once stood here?
I know. It don't really feel strange. I used to work up and down here.
If Carl was alive, or you could speak to Carl Bridgewater, what is it you would like to say to him?
Well, Carl, 35 years ago, because of 2 horrific murder cases that happened in this vicinity, your name and mine became intrinsically joined. You are welcome in my life, Carl. But how I wish we could have been fused together under different and happier circumstances. Through the power of silent prayer, I have spoken to and prayed for you, Carl, many times. That's, Carl, is what I say to you. God bless you.
And what do you think Carl might say back to you?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think he might say?
He might say you killed him.
He might. But he would know that that would be a lie. He wouldn't say that. He was apparently a nice little boy, scout. He wouldn't lie.
Why do you think he got murdered that day?
Well, I can only go on what the police said. It was a robbery and he got disturbed. There was a robbery in progress.
Robbers don't normally shoot 13-year-old boys.
No, neither do ambulance men. Thank you very much. Point taken.
Ambulance men don't normally shoot their best friends.
An ambulance man, David, don't go on armed robberies in full dress uniform to places where they are very well known. That's the point I want you to understand. I wouldn't shoot a boy. There's no way I could even...
It's, for me, he was shot because he could identify his killer.
That's what the police say.
It's also what I would say. It's all, looking at the evidence, I would say that. I would say it's very unusual for a robber to shoot a 13-year-old boy.
I know what you're thinking, but let me just make this perfectly clear. I would not have, under any circumstances, come on an armed robbery to a farm I thought people were in, and where I was known, and I knew someone delivered papers now.
Maybe you weren't doing an armed robbery. I'm not saying you were doing an armed robbery. You could have been doing anything. You've spotted something when you were in the house, you've liked those foxes, you could have been taking things that, to sell on. And Carl Bridgewater, because the back door was open, was used to walking in if the back door was open because he would hand deliver the papers to the elderly couple. That's what's in the police statement. So if he sees the back door open, he walks in and he then encounters somebody and he goes, "Oh, hello, Mr. Spencer."
Yeah? That's a theory of yours, is it?
No, it's actually a theory that's in a lot of...
It's a police theory. Do you believe the police? The lies I've told about me, and you still believe them?
I think that he was shot, Carl was shot, because he could identify the person or people who were breaking in.
Well, that's feasible.
Is that feasible?
It's feasible. I haven't argued against that. But who were he or they or them? It certainly wasn't me. The four who were arrested for it, I believed had done it. I don't know. I believed they did.
And do you still believe they did?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I don't give a damn what they protested and how many rooftops they sat on. It didn't affect me or my judgment of them. I believed they and their group were deliberately trying to find a scapegoat, and I fitted it. That's what I believe. I won't change. If that upsets you, tough.
The evidence against them was thrown out eventually, wasn't it, though? So...
But the same bent coppers that caused that handled my case. They might throw mine out. Why not?
The Bridgewater Four would find themselves at the heart of one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in British legal history. Their convictions were eventually quashed when it was proven that detectives had faked a confession.
Malloy's confession.
11 years after Carl's murder, the West Midlands Serious Crime Squad was disbanded following accusations of abuses of power. Their mishandling of the case meant that other leads that might have been investigated were never properly followed up. This included the identity of a suspect in a photo fit picture who had been seen near Yew Tree Farm on the day Carl Bridgewater was murdered.
Here is the photo fit of one of the men that was seen that day. Yep. And above is Hubert Wilkes.
Well, it should be more squinty, a bit more jowly. Doesn't look like him.
You don't think that looks like him?
No, he had no hair like that. And he got squinty eyes. He was jowly, you know what I mean by that?
But that looks uncanny. You don't think he could have been at Yew Tree Farm that day?
I never thought that.
Is that a possibility?
Yes. He lived there. He got right to be here. He rented the farm.
He's a father figure to you. He's someone that you talk to a lot. He's someone that you discuss these things with a lot. Did he never mention the murder at the farm?
No. I didn't know he was also a main suspect. I didn't know. I didn't know someone that saw someone they believed was his vehicle. Not just a Land Rover. Someone believed it was his, someone local.
Local farm worker Ian Charles was working in the fields next to Yew Tree Farm on the day Carl was murdered. In his statement to police, he reported that he saw what he thought was Hubert Wilkes's Land Rover parked in the driveway of Yew Tree Farm.
At the time I saw the Land Rover, I thought that Mr. Wilkes or one of his sons or labourers was visiting the farm.
Wilkes had already been questioned by police, telling them that he had driven his green BMW to market on that day. But the day after the farm worker had spoken to the police, Wilkes changed a number of things in his testimony, including that he had actually been driving his Land Rover on that day. A persistent rumor was that Bert killed Wilkes because the farmer had seen him at Yew Tree Farm, then taunted him about his alleged involvement in Carl's death. Bert has always denied this, but a letter found amongst Anne Whelan's papers states that Carl's death was indeed being discussed the night Wilkes was shot dead.
We can confirm that Mrs. Spencer told our reporter, Mr. Tony Bishop, that there had been talk about the Carl Bridgewater case at Holloway House Farm on the evening that Mr. Wilkes was shot.
But in the end, she was satisfied that her husband had no involvement in the Carl Bridgewater affair.
Did Hubert Wilkes ever mention robberies?
No.
Did he never say to you, in your house, you could do a robbery and escape through the woods?
Oh, no, don't be silly. You're being silly, David. No.
I've got that directly from your daughter.
I never liked him. When he came to our house, I particularly remember he would stand at the fire with his back to the fire, and I was lying on the settee. He would just constantly talk about robberies and how you can commit the perfect crime by escaping through the woods. And I'd lie there and think, oh, just shut up. Because I never particularly liked the man. I never felt any liking towards him.
Holloway House Farm is the final stop of the day. Bert's life changed forever when he murdered Hubert Wilkes. In the minds of some, it was events surrounding that murder that still inextricably link him to the death of Carl Bridgewater.
Farmer Wilkes farmed Yew Tree Farm as well.
And there's a farm. That's Holloway House Farm there. This is as it was.
Oh my gosh, it looks pretty impressive, doesn't it?
That is how it was. And I was his gardener, his chauffeur.
But you wanted to say something to Carl Bridgewater at Yew Tree Farm. What would you say to Hubert Wilkes?
No, I'm so ashamed. No, I'll say nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Mm-hmm.
This hurts.
Mm-hmm.
This hurts. Because I shot him, didn't I? Friend. It hurts. It hurts me. I don't expect you to understand that. It does.
No, I understand it. I understand it. It's very emotional and overpowering.
I just went bloody mad, didn't I, for a few minutes?
And again, some of the things that I would want to ask of you, how come Hubert Wilkes ends up dead in exactly the same way as Carl Bridgewater?
I don't know about that. I don't know circumstances or what do you call it, coincidence or whatever. But apparently he did.
Yeah. That must strike you, that coincidence must strike you as eerie and odd.
Yes, yes. They said to me, the police said it's exactly the same as Carl died. Exactly the same.
Next time on Interview with the Murderer, Bert stuns Professor Wilson by calling in on his secretary and cast-iron alibi, Barbara.
Barbara lived up here.
But after 36 years, can she still back up his story that he was at work all day when Carl was shot?
Can you remember if Bert took lunch that day that Carl Bridgewater was murdered?
What?
And breaking nearly a 4-decade-long silence, a crucial new witness comes forward.
Somebody's made contact with us that I've been wanting to speak to throughout this entire process. Bert's first wife. Janet has never spoken before on camera. I don't know what she's going to say, but I know whatever she says is going to be absolutely fascinating.
On the 19th of September 1978, 13-year-old Carl Bridgewater left his home in Wordsley in the West Midlands. Like thousands of other children across the country, he was carrying out a paper round. At 4 p.m, Carl was making one of his final deliveries of the day to Yew Tree Farm. The occupants, an elderly couple, were out. It seems Carl entered the farmhouse and disturbed a burglary. Carl was then shot at point-blank range in the face with a shotgun. The cold-blooded murder sparked one of the biggest police manhunts for a child killer ever seen in the UK.
We have a good witness and a very clear and lucid type of witness.
The police theory was that if Carl had recognized whoever was stealing antiques from Yew Tree Farm, then they had murdered him so he couldn't reveal their identity. Eyewitness statements reported a man in uniform driving a blue Vauxhall Viva into Yew Tree Farm on the day that Carl was killed. The only man in a 50-mile radius who filled that description was local ambulance officer Bert Spencer. Bert also owned a shotgun and went shooting on land surrounding Yew Tree Farm. Furthermore, he was a part-time antiques dealer. When police found out that he'd been a neighbor of Carl's, he became the main focus of their investigation.
They told me that the paper boy, Carl, has been shot. And I just sat there and I thought, oh my God. And my dad was #1 suspect.
But just as it looked like Bert Spencer could have been arrested and charged with the crime, events took an unexpected turn. Detectives picked up a gang of robbers for a burglary at a nearby farm. Known as the Bridgewater Four, they were convicted and imprisoned for Carl's murder. But almost immediately, rumors circulated that the men had been fitted up by a corrupt police force eager to solve the crime. A rumor that was proven to be true when after 20 years, the men's conviction was quashed and they were free to go. With Carl's killer still at large, the crime remains one of the UK's most notorious unsolved murders.
The one who pulled the trigger, you know. I wish I could get my hands on him, you know what I mean? It's very hard to describe that, you know, your feelings to that person.
Although Bert was never charged with Carl's murder, he has lived under the constant shadow of suspicion. Now, he's decided it's time to speak out. Last time on Interview with a Murderer, the pressure of the intensive interviews gets to Bert.
What does it mean to be labelled as a murderer?
Just stop a minute.
Could farmer Hubert Wilkes, who Bert murdered, have been a witness at Yew Tree Farm the day Carl died?
You don't think he could have been at Yew Tree Farm that day? Is that a possibility?
Yes.
And Professor Wilson fears Bert may be displaying some worrying personality traits.
Am I dealing with somebody who's psychopathic?
For all the suspicions about Bert, there has always been one person who has supported his claim that he had nothing to do with the murder of Carl: his secretary and cast-iron alibi, Barbara. Barbara has refused all requests for interviews in the intervening years, but Bert has returned to Staffordshire with criminologist David Wilson in a bid to once and for all prove he had nothing to do with Carl's death. During the trip, Bert stuns everyone by asking the car to stop outside Barbara's home.
Barbara lived up here. Oh, we've got a camera. Hello, camera. Oh, I've got the wrong place. Does Barbara live here? Are you Julie? I'm Bert. I'm Bert. Come here. Come here, you cheeky bugger.
You're right. Oh my God.
All these years, eh? You look lovely. Is she in? Is she all right? Barbara! Hey, babe.
Oh,
Look at you.
I'm gonna cry.
Let's cry together.
Oh,
come here.
Oh, we're not going through all this again, are we?
No, it's better this time, lovely. Better this time. I wrote a book, Barbara.
Yeah.
to show why a lot of people were wrong in the allegations. I'm bloody crying, hang on a bit. And
Come on.
because of
We've
the
only
book...
just got in.
Come here, you.
What's it like seeing him again?
I can't believe it.
That's a long, long time.
It is.
And you still look lovely.
Yeah.
No job, wasn't it, my life?
Answer me this question, and I want Bert not to interrupt.
Get on with it.
Why, the one thing that's always confused me about the Corbett Hospital part of the story are the records disappearing. Why do you think they disappeared?
Well, you see, it was open plan and very peculiar people went there at night, didn't they?
They used to go to steal computers and
Yeah,
telephones
yes,
and carpets.
Yeah.
Sorry it's interfering.
Yeah.
I never knew I was going to get a chance to say hello to you. And the one bit from your witness statements that I wonder if we can clarify is that you didn't know if perhaps Bert had gone for lunch on the day that Carl Bridgewater had been murdered. You didn't know he could have gone for lunch, you said, and he normally takes his lunch between 12:30, could go on perhaps as late as 2. Can you remember if Bert took lunch that day that Carl Bridgewater was murdered?
What? I suppose so. Going back a few years now, how can I remember what exactly I said with time? But this is it. I always used to go at 1 o'clock till 1:30. But he had various times. Well, he'd be missing. He got lots of hospitals to cope with. He didn't just cope with the COVID.
So he could have gone for lunch on that day between those times?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's great. That was what you said in your statement, and I just wanted to clarify that, and that's wonderful. Thank you. You provide Bert with an alibi because you say, no, he was at Corbett Hospital. And then there's this bit in the statement that you make. You say, well, I take my lunch, and he could have also taken his lunch, and therefore I didn't see him. It may have been an open plan office, but I didn't see him continuously during the day, and he could have disappeared to go for lunch.
Yeah.
And that's a possibility, isn't it? So that's a bit of the story I'm trying to make sense of.
I might or might, I don't know, I might or might not have gone for lunch. I used to go and have a dinner upstairs in the canteen sometimes. But it doesn't matter, because Carl was killed around 4 something, and after someone saw the blue Viva go into the farm drive, a quarter of an hour afterwards, there were other vehicles there who didn't see the blue Vauxhall Viva, so it had gone in and gone out long before Carl was killed.
But I wonder if it became so frightening for you,
Oh,
Bert.
no, I'm not frightened of anything. You should know that.
I wonder if it became so frightening for you that if you admitted it was you going for your lunch and you turn around, because then people would go, wait a minute, they've already had the fact that you collected antiques and I went for my lunch and turned my car.
Right, let me come in. I could have said, if I were there, I was there. I had every right to be there, any time, day or night. I worked down the fields. I knew the people. I worked for the farmer who had the place. I had a right to be there, but it wasn't my car on that day.
That part of the story, the Vauxhall Viva, connects you, whether you like it or not, to this story.
Right. Now, whether you like it or not, David, if I had gone home for lunch on that day, I did not pass Yew Tree Farm.
So did you go home
I went
for
the
lunch
journey
on that day?
I don't know, for Christ's sake.
You don't know. This is the story that's you've been the scapegoat for murder, and you can't remember if you went home for lunch on that day.
No, I
You
didn't.
didn't have a set pattern.
I didn't have a set pattern, David. I was all over the bloody place, and my phones never stopped, and I was up to
So if you had no set pattern, Bert, you could have been there at 4 o'clock. You could have been there at 5 o'clock. By opening up further possibilities, you make it more complicated and more possible.
Right, let's
rather
close
than
those
less
possibilities.
complicated.
Let's close those possibilities that you're making in your mind.
I'm not making them in my mind.
Will you listen?
Sure.
I didn't go home for lunch. You'll have to believe me. You can't disprove it.
I don't want us to argue any further.
We're not arguing. We're seriously discussing something that touches my emotions. I've clarified that.
Good. I am pleased about that. I am pleased that you've got good memories, and I'm delighted to have met you, Barbara.
Bert's claim that Barbara represents a cast-iron alibi no longer stands up. Following the astonishing revelation by Barbara, David Wilson reassembles his team of researchers. He feels he is now ready to present his theory about the involvement Bert may have had in Carl's death.
One of the things that confuses about Bert's relationship to the murder at Yew Tree Farm and to Carl Bridgewater has always been that he had an alibi supported by Barbara. Bert says he was at Corbett Hospital all day on the day that Carl is murdered. And then, of course, I've been with her, with Bert Spencer, almost 4 decades later, and I've listened to what she's had to say. And frankly, what she has to say is that he has no alibi on that particular day at all. We have to put him under pressure, either to admit he knows something more about Yew Tree Farm, that he was there earlier in the day at Yew Tree Farm, or we have to start saying that the reason why he won't admit to that is because there's something even greater that he's going to have to admit to, which was that he probably was the killer of Carl Bridgewater.
Professor David Wilson has spent the last 6 months looking into the murder of newspaper boy Carl Bridgewater. This is the 4th and final meeting between the two men.
You'll be tormenting somebody else tomorrow.
Tormenting? Come here.
Are all your people as blunt as me?
Why don't you have a seat?
Professor Wilson is about to present Bert with his final findings and offer his own evaluation of Bert's psychological state.
Bring your Coke if you want.
I will do.
Bring your
Thank
Coke.
you very much. Come on then.
You all right? You comfortable?
Yes.
I think the phrase that you used that I always remember was that you said to me that you wouldn't run and you wouldn't hide.
I never do.
Your alibi is that you were at Corbett Hospital all day on the day that Carl Bridgewater was murdered. There was another person at Corbett Hospital that day who, of course, was Barbara.
What about the others?
Well, but Barbara in particular was
She
really
made
important.
a written statement, I believe.
She made several written statements.
Well, OK, I didn't know that. Others who worked in the same floor space made verbal, yes, OK, he was here, but they didn't write it down. They didn't have to. The coppers at the time didn't do everything right, what I think is right. They didn't ask, will you make a statement? Will you make a statement? They didn't feel the need. Someone's already done it.
And Barbara made those statements.
Yes,
And as you know, I've tracked down those statements, and you were there when I asked her, could she say that she was there all afternoon and was able to verify that you were there all afternoon? And she can't. She can't guarantee what times you may have left Corbett Hospital all afternoon. Means that you don't have a cast iron alibi.
That's fair enough.
That alibi is, well, it disappears, Bert.
I accept what you say. I don't have now a cast iron alibi. Do you have any evidence that I killed Carl Bridgewater? If you do, sir, bring it forward. If you don't, shut your mouth. OK? You've now annoyed me.
You get annoyed by me fairly regularly,
yes.
Bert, and you threaten me quite a lot as well.
That's not threatening. It's me talking straight.
I also asked you, Bert, in relation to the Wilkes connection. What was happening the night that you took Hubert Wilkes' life? Your wife at the time made statements to various places saying that Carl Bridgewater was mentioned that night.
Well, if it was, I wasn't in the room at that time. I didn't mention it.
She says it was mentioned at the time.
I don't care what she says. I'm not rubbishing her statement. I'm saying to you, I wasn't in the room when it was, if it was. You can't just say, but she says it was. That's what I'm saying to you. That's my response.
Hubert Wilkes was goading you. I wonder if that plays a part in relation to what happened at Yale.
You've just
that I've got
taken
instead.
one statement of one person, and that's your God, your law. My first wife fires venom at me. Okay? For 4 years after I was convicted, there was all lovey-dovey love letters. She was visiting Wormwood Scrubs until suddenly she found another man and she comes out with this crap.
But
it is rubbish.
Did you and Hubert Wilkes ever discuss robberies?
We never did.
Right. Okay. Now, I'm going to play you something, Bert, at the moment. I particularly wanted you to hear what your daughter said in relation to Hubert Wilkes and the discussion of robberies.
I particularly remember he would stand at the fire with his back to the fire, and I was lying on the settee. He would just constantly talk about robberies and how you can commit the perfect crime by escaping through the woods. And I'd lie there and think,
I don't agree with that. Hubert Wilkes used to come to my house and drink whiskey. Never discussed robberies with me.
So your daughter's wrong?
She's made a mistake.
Well, she doesn't think that, Bert.
OK, a lot of people think I killed Carl Bridgewater. I know I didn't, but I can't change their opinion.
This is really where I'm coming to. Would you mind if I showed you something?
Show me.
These are distressing...
What do you mean would I mind? Show me.
These are distressing photographs.
Show me.
These are the crime scene photographs of Carl Bridgewater.
Right. That's at the scene, I assume?
Yeah.
Yes, OK. So why have you showed them to me?
I've showed you that because I think, with the fact that you no longer have an alibi, that something happened that day that involved you at Yew Tree Farm, and I want you to listen again.
I've always felt that he saw something that day that killed him inside. If a story ever came out like I'd finished my shift and I'd got a little bit of time and I thought, right, I'll go and do that errand. Then suddenly you hear a gunshot go off. And then, after it's all dispersed, you go in and you see something.
Tell me,
you can't believe what you're looking at and what you're witnessing and what you're seeing, and you're just horrified. I have tried to discuss that with him on an occasion, but he was very emotional.
Was that what happened?
No.
Did you go to Yew Tree Farm that day? Your daughter thinks that you did go to Yew Tree Farm.
Yes, I've just heard what you said. She also thinks it was after my shift. After 5 p.m. Too late. Too late, mate. Even if I got there at 20 past, there's no gunshot. That was an hour ago.
Did you go after your shift?
No, I did not. You've forgotten the time, she said.
Did you go after your shift?
No, for Christ's sake. What for? What? I wasn't working there that month. What for?
Well, after our first interview, I did a P scan on you.
What's that?
It means psychopathy scan. So this isn't a clinical diagnosis. This is a way that I can gain some insight into the person that I'm talking to. And the total score for you was in the high range. A total score that falls in the high range should be a cause for serious concern. It suggests that the person of interest may have many or most of the features that define psychopathy. Such a person is likely to be egocentric, callous, cold-blooded, predatory, impulsive, irresponsible, dominant, deceptive, manipulative, and lacking in empathy, guilt, or genuine remorse for socially deviant and criminal acts. And that fits you to a T.
It also fits you, you bugger. Some of the things you've said, to a T.
This is you, Bert.
So you've just condemned me then, haven't you?
You are somebody that I regard...
As a psychopath?
As a liar.
Yeah.
As somebody who has bent the truth. As somebody who's manipulative, as conning. You're not this kindly old grandfather figure. That's your shtick, Bert, and I see through it. And all I can say to you is that in the absence of you having any alibi, because you were there when Barbara says she cannot stand up where you were on the afternoon that Carl Bridgewater was murdered.
I have an answer for you.
I am going to be taking this material to the police because I think this case needs to be reopened.
Right. I'm not going to say, let me get a word in. I am going to get a word in, David. I think you need to see a psychiatrist. You are wrong. So very wrong. You're egoistic, all Mr. Important. What the hell does it matter what you think? The evidence shows. How the hell can I be there when I wasn't there? You'll have to prove that. Go ahead, do what you want. But I think you need psychiatric treatment, son. There's something wrong with the way you think. That is my belief.
I think now it's really a question for other people to make their decision on these kinds of things.
Well,
because all I can do is tell you what I felt, and I will raise this elsewhere.
Okay, do that.
Thank you.
Big silence in the room. He's a fucking nutcase. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
He knows that if he starts admitting that he was at Yew Tree Farm, then the police have got to be re-interviewing him.
It's all a load of absolute nonsense. It really is.
I could not believe what I was hearing.
He can't work it out, so instead of failing, he wants me as a scapegoat.
I'll certainly stand by my man. Every inch of the way.
This psychopath needs a cuddle.
I personally still think, with the fact that Barbara can no longer stand up his alibi, this case should be reopened.
Right.
As ever in the world of Bert Spencer, just when you think you've got some kind of conclusion, other possibilities immediately offer themselves up. Somebody's made contact with us that I've been wanting to speak to throughout this entire process. Bert's first wife. Janet has never spoken before on camera and has maintained a silence for some 38 years. I don't know what she's going to say, but I know whatever she says is going to be absolutely fascinating. Janet, how long were you married to Bert Spencer for?
About 16, 17 years.
Was he popular with the girls?
Yes, yes. With everyone, really. He was very well liked.
When you got to really know him for all those years, was there another side to him as well?
Oh, yes, yes.
Describe that other side for me.
Dark. It could be very volatile at times if things upset him or, you know, he'd had a bit too much to drink. It could change drastically.
Was he ever nasty to you?
Oh, yes, yeah.
In what way?
Oh, well, I mean, he's hit me. He hit me on a few occasions, but he was just very frightening and menacing, you know, when he lost his temper. He could be very intimidating.
Did he intimidate you?
Yes, yeah.
It sounds as if your marriage was like walking on eggshells.
It was, a lot of the times, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Janet was present the night that Farmer Hubert Wilkes was killed. The murder has been described as a carbon copy of the killing of Carl Bridgewater. But what really happened that night? And did it have anything to do with the murder of Carl?
Can I take you back to the night that Hubert Wilkes was murdered? Can you describe to me what happened?
Went up to the farm. I went into the house with Bert, went into the dining room where I used to carry out some, work the payroll out for them. And then eventually when I'd finished the work that I'd got to do, I joined them in the lounge, and my first reaction when I saw Bert was that he seemed to have had quite a lot to drink in that short time. Jean had mentioned a book that she'd been reading, and it sounded interesting, so she went upstairs to fetch the book for me. And immediately she'd done that, Bert said that he was going to go to the toilet. So off he toddles, and I'm sitting with Mr. Wilkes on the settee. And he seemed to have been gone for some time, and I was getting concerned as to if he was okay. And at that, Bert appeared. I said, "Oh, there you are." And at that, he sort of sloped in and then turned round fully, and I could see that he'd got a gun in his hand, and he just shot Mr. Wilkes through the head while he was sitting on the settee.
What did he do to you?
Well, immediately that had happened, I thought, I'm next. And in the split second that he hadn't turned the gun on me, I run over and grabbed the gun with two hands and shouted at him, "Do you realise what you've done?" But at that point, Jean came in through the far door again, took one look, screamed and ran. So he took off after Jean. So I run into the kitchen, tried to unlock the door.
It's okay.
I couldn't unlock the door. It was in darkness, so I ran and hid under the kitchen table. And as I knelt down, I could hear the gun clatter on the floor, and I thought, he's going to hear that. He came running in again, and he ran out into the yard.
Janet!
I went through the bottom door into the hallway, picked up the phone, and he appeared from the other door down the hall with another gun. A complete gun, not a cut-off one. And he proceeded to hit me over the head with it, time after time, till I went down. And I was thinking, this is it. And at that, Jean came in again and through the door in the hallway and screamed, and he ran after her again. So twice I've never been able to thank her, but twice she saved me. And after that, it was just a question of trying to escape from the farm, really, without him finding me.
And you've got absolutely no doubt he was trying to kill you?
Oh. Well, he didn't shoot me. I can't understand why he didn't. If a few more, he probably would have killed me. A few more, hits across the head.
On the night in question in December, had there been discussion about the Bridgewater case and the appeal being lodged by the Bridgewater Four?
Well, because I was in the office for most of the time, I can't say. I mean, it has been mentioned since. I'm not sure. We did see something on the television once together, Bert and I, that they were appealing against their conviction. I'm not sure whether it was that night, but I did hear, he did say if they get off, they'll be after me.
Did he ever explain to you why he shot Hubert Wilkes that night?
Never. He said he'd had a blackout. He's never given any logical explanation. No.
Bert claims that Mr. Wilkes was going to give you a special cocktail so as to be able to have sex with you. Is there any truth in that? Was that ever mentioned to you?
No. I know he's given that as a reason because he's put it down in writing to me in the following years, but no. I didn't know anything. If he had arranged something, I didn't know anything about it. I don't believe it anyway. I just don't believe it.
Did you discuss the Bridgewater case with Bert? I mean, here's the bit that confuses me. I went back to Ascot Gardens, where you used to live, and the Bridgewaters lived a few doors up.
That's right.
Did you socialise with the Bridgewaters?
We didn't actually socialise with them, but I know on one occasion when we had a party, they came and had a drink, you know, at the house. Several other people were there as well, quite a few actually, but yes, they did come and... So we knew them because they were near neighbours. We knew the son.
Carl?
Yeah, so I can't understand why he says he don't know him, because I did.
Janet, can you describe what you remember happening on the day that Carl was murdered when you went home?
I came into the house and I saw Bert standing there with his hands in his pockets. Body language telling me that he wasn't very happy. And I also noticed a jumper that had been pegged on the line, which a man had put on, because women don't peg jumpers on like that.
Was that one of Bert's work jumpers? What colour was it?
No, it was a casual jumper, a green jumper.
Did you ever see that jumper again?
No, never.
But was it clear to you that Bert had washed the jumper?
Oh, yeah.
It just disappeared?
It just disappeared. Mm-hmm. He went to bed, which he did do, went to bed early, and I then watched the news on the television.
Carl apparently stumbled on burglars.
And as I watched it, and everything about it, you know, the fact that who it was, where he'd lived, the boy, you know, what had happened to him, take it all in. Couldn't believe it. Washed, you know, just washed all over me. I went upstairs and shook his shoulder. He wasn't asleep. And said to him, please God, please tell me you didn't have anything to do with that. And he said, no, I didn't, but don't you think they'll be after me? It was my patch, or words to that effect. That's what he said.
And that must have been quite odd. How would he know about it?
Well, I've wondered since, actually, but I can't be sure that nothing was on the news earlier, but I can't say how he could have, I don't know.
But he wasn't watching the news with you?
No, he'd gone to bed.
And so you go upstairs, he's still awake, and you ask him, please God, tell me you had nothing to do with that. And he knew immediately what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Was Bert worried?
Yeah, he was concerned, and I said, well, I don't know why you worried, because you were at work.
And what did he say to that?
He said, well, I wasn't there all day.
He said he wasn't at work all day?
He said, I wasn't there all the time because... I said, why? And he says, because I didn't feel well. So he says, I was in the toilets for a long time. I stomach problem. I said, well, surely someone must have seen you. Somebody must have heard you or seen you go into the toilet. He said, no. He said, well, the only one that could probably say something is Barbara up the road. She lived a few doors away, Barbara. So we went and fetched her.
He went and fetched her?
Came down to the house. She said, yes, of course, you know. I can give a statement to the police, don't worry.
Did you believe that statement?
Well, knowing what he'd said to me, I just thought she was probably helping him out, but that it wasn't really that important because he wasn't the culprit. Oh, I was hoping he wasn't.
Bert clearly collected antiques, bought and sold antiques. Were you ever worried that some of those antiques were stolen?
No, I never suspected that, although he did a lot of wheeler dealing. But a friend told me that a bag containing antiques had been found in their shed because someone had seen Bert coming out of their driveway, and so the husband went down to have a look in the shed and found this bag of antique brassware and copper. So following on what my friend had told me when I went to visit Bert in prison, I did question him about this bag, and his words to me were, you must never, ever tell anybody about that, ever. So I said, well, OK, but, you know, what happened to them? He said he'd buried them somewhere around the Prestwood area, which is off the A449.
So the implication is he had stolen those antiques, tried to hide them in the shed of one of his friends, and then when he was caught having done so, challenged by your friend, he then buried the antiques that he'd stolen. Where do you think those antiques that were buried came from? Do you think they could have come from Yew Tree Farm?
Well, that's got to be the thinking of all of us as the friend asked him to move them, and it was close to the Carl Bridgewater time. We can only assume that he's got something that he shouldn't have had.
Janet, in September 1978, did Bert own a shotgun?
Yes, he did.
What happened to that shotgun?
I remember him saying, probably the day after Carl Bridgewater, that Carl Bridgewater murder, that he ought to, you know, get rid of it or take it somewhere. And I don't know what happened to it, but there was a gun in the house at the time. And he did have a shotgun licence for it.
And he disposed of the shotgun the day after Carl Bridgewater was murdered?
Yeah.
When you put all the various pieces of information that you're in possession of together now, what does it lead you to conclude?
Well, man, there's no concrete evidence, but I really believe that if he didn't actually shoot, he knows more about that than he's let on.
Would it surprise you if the truth was Bert Spencer, your ex-husband, killed Carl Bridgewater? Would that surprise you?
No, it wouldn't.
In fact, do you suspect that's what happened?
Well, you know, it's hard to say, but deep down, yes, I do, really, now.
Following Janet's damning claims, Bert is given a right to reply to them.
On the day of Carl's murder, Janet says she returned home to find a green jumper hanging on the clothesline. She believes Bert hung it there. She says he was behaving strangely. She says she never saw that jersey again.
Neither did I. I've no idea what that means. She'll have to expand upon that. I was in uniform, don't forget. If I was there. Green jumper. Sorry.
After returning from a family celebration, Janet saw the news report about Carl's murder on the TV. She rushed to tell Bert, who was in bed, saying Carl had been killed at Shewtree Farm. And she said, "Please God, please tell me you had nothing to do with it." To which Bert replied, "No, I didn't. But don't you think they'll be after me?"
Oh, that's a nonsense. I did not say that. I don't agree with that.
Janet said Bert added the following explanation. "It happened on my patch." She has never understood why he made that remark, but realises now how odd it is.
I would never have made that remark and don't accept it.
According to Janet, Bert initially told her that he didn't have a proper alibi at work because he had been on the toilet most of the afternoon due to a bad tummy. She said later he physically fetched Barbara from up the road in order to give him an alibi.
What absolute nonsense. Read the police statements from Barbara.
Janet said that Bert had a shotgun and a shotgun licence, but disposed of the shotgun the day after Carl Bridgewater was killed.
No, I disposed of the shotgun. I used to buy and sell shotguns. I had a shotgun licence. I disposed of it about 2 months before Carl was killed, and the police are fully aware of that. They found the gun.
Bert once stored some antiques, copper and brass, were in a friend's shed and was spotted in the shed removing them. He was asked to move them, which he did. This happened after Carl's death, but before the death of Hubert Wilkes. When Janet later asked Bert about this in prison, he told her that they were buried near the A449 Prestwick Road, and she was never to tell anybody about that, ever.
I do not agree with that comment. It is nonsense.
Janet finally says, after many years, she has reached the conclusion that Bert probably did kill Carl Bridgewater, though at the time she didn't want to believe it of her husband.
I am aware of her opinion. Like many others in the world, she is welcome to her opinion. It happens I don't agree with it. I promise you, if you bring evidence that can be accepted in a high court that what you say is true, I promise you, Janet, no harm will come to you, no threats will be made to you, but I am ready to instigate my own kamikaze method. And I promise you, I would make sure you are immediately arrested, charged and found guilty of conspiring to pervert the course of justice for all these years, of putting 4 men behind bars unnecessarily, and more seriously, Janet, being an accessory after the fact. Regardless of all of the allegations that keep coming my way, hear this. I will never, ever be a scapegoat for the murder of Carl Bridgewater. By golly, I've had enough of this sniping. I've had enough, Janet. And when I've had enough, I may well institute kamikaze.